Oukitel is a smartphone maker that produces mainly affordable smartphones. The U20 Plus model is one of them, and it has a dual camera setup and decent specs for the price of just about $100. My name is Linus, stay tuned for the full review. The phone ships with all the usual accessories, and some extras include a nice TPU case to protect your phone. As far as design goes, the phone is made entirely of plastic. It doesn't feel premium or anything, but I have no complaints about the build quality. We have a 5.5 inches 1080p display, which is sharp and good enough for daily use for a cheap phone. The buttons are made of plastic too, but they have a decent tactile response. One thing that I hate is that the power button is on the left side. It is simply inconvenient. On the back, we have a dual camera setup that allows you to take pictures with a bokeh effect. There is one 13 megapixel shooter and another that only has 0.3 megapixels. A fingerprint sensor is far from the fastest I've seen, but it works 8 out of 10 times. We have the LED notification light, but the capacitive buttons are not backlit. The loudspeaker is like on most of the cheap phones, the sound is flat. The phone sports okay specs for the price. The device ships with a quad-core MTK6737T chip, which is clocked at 1.5 GHz, 2 GB of RAM and 16 GB of expandable storage. The gaming performance is pretty good if you play the 3D games like Asphalt 8 on medium graphics. Still, you may see a few skipped frames, but nothing major. The phone gets a little bit warm pretty quickly, but it does not overheat. The Android 6.0 based user interface will give you a pretty much stock looking Android experience, but there are some added features like a theme star or a bunch of gesture and motion controls that work pretty well. I didn't have any major lag or hiccups even after installing quite a few apps, and I believe this is the most important thing on a cheap phone. When it comes to the image quality, you should never expect any great results from cheap phones. Still, the Oukitel U20 Plus can take some decent looking daylight photos, but obviously there is quite a bit of noise and the level of detail could be higher. If you want to use a secondary camera, you have to select the SLR shooting mode. I have to tell you that the results are pretty good and you get a nice shallow depth of field effect. The low-light camera performance does not really impress, but that is the case for most of the cheap phones. The selfies look okay for social media needs.
Currently I'm shooting with the Oukitel U20 Plus. This is handheld footage, it's a pretty cloudy day.
The video quality is okay for a cheap phone. I didn't have any connectivity issues, and even the GPS lock speeds and accuracy were okay. The 3300 mAh battery performs pretty well. With my usage, I could get around 5 hours of screen on time, which is a pretty good result. The Oukitel U20 Plus is another cheap phone from China that aims to impress you, and it does it by offering a dual camera setup on a budget. The image quality is not stellar, but you can definitely get some decent photos for social media. Also, you get a nice and sharp display, a decent all-around performance for a cheap phone, a fingerprint scanner, and a decent battery life. On the other hand, the phone looks kind of cheap since it does not sport any premium materials in the construction. Also, I didn't like that the power button is on the left side and the capacitive buttons are not backlit. At the end of the day, the Oukitel U20 Plus is an interesting and pretty good phone for the price of just above $100, but as always, you have to consider a few shortcomings before buying it. It was Linus, thanks for watching, and as always, if you guys have any questions, please drop me a comment down below. Also, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and please visit gizmochina.com for all the latest and greatest Chinese tech news and reviews. See you soon.